All right, we'll just wait a few seconds here while everyone starts to log into the webinar. All right. Thanks everyone for joining this afternoon for the American Pacific project update webinar. For those of you who haven't seen it, we just put out some news at 1 p.m. Pacific time, focused on our Tuscarora project in Nevada. So I'm pleased to introduce CEO Warwick Smith and President Eric Saderholm, who will go into great detail about that press release and what we have planned at Tuscarora. So I guess without further ado, I'll pass it off to Warwick.
That's great, Christina. Thanks very much. And thanks to everybody for coming and joining us. Tuscarora is going to be a very large part of the American Pacific story going forward, and going to see a significant amount of exploration in 2022 to the tune of around $5 million. We are permitted for 23 sites. We're going to drill up to 70 holes, which is around just a little over 17,000 meters. So it's an extensive program. We wanted to bring you guys on today, walk you through it, show you what we're excited about. And I'll sort of start off. I'm going to walk through a presentation, which I'll share my screen in a moment. But what I'm going to start with today is just a kind of a 3-minute video. That's going to show you a bit of the lay of the land of kind of what Tuscarora looks like. And then we'll get into some of what's happened before, some of the previous drilling, the sampling, the stuff that we've done recently, and the stuff that's been done before us. Then I'm going to share a 3D model, which is going to show you where the new drill sites are, the previous drilling that's been done, the grades that have been encountered, et cetera. And then we'll take you from there. So with that, let me start by sharing my screen, and we'll take you through a 3-minute video to kind of give you a feel of what the topography and what Tuscarora looks like. So give me 1 second here and we'll get you going. Okay, here we are. Okay, so that gives you sort of a quick overview of what it looks like. I always find it helps for investors to actually see the project. It's difficult to get everybody down on site, so the video can be quite helpful. We're incredibly excited about getting back out here. This is obviously a high-grade epithermal deposit. It's one that Eric and I are very familiar with, having been involved in this since 2018, owning the south side of the fence and now owning the north side of the fence as well. It is the oldest epithermal system in the state of Nevada, likely in the western US. It is the same age as Carlin. It's part of our belief that's why the grades are so high. It has a history of past production. Late 1800s, there was about 500,000 ounces of gold and 7.5 million ounces of silver taken from the north side of the fence where the veins pop out at surface. And then the south side of the fence is where the veins go under gravel cover. Here's the location. You can see the gold star there. So we're very close to Jarrett Canyon, which is about 20 kilometers from us. And then Midas is about 45 kilometers from us as well. Eric, maybe you want to talk to the significance a bit about the location of Tuscarora?
Sure, and the size of it as well, since we have 12 veins coming through our property. So we're in the process of exploring 4 of those right now, which are our higher priorities, but the location is essential. It's on the outside of a caldera, so it's an area that you would expect to find this type of mineralization. But as Warwick said, what makes this stand out is that it is the age of it. It's 40 million years old, and that's the same age as the Carlin Trend. So what was going on in the crust here, no one quite knows all the answers, but a lot of gold was being in place at that time. Separates it from the other epithermal systems we know of in Nevada, which are much younger.
Here's a quick slide on some of the drill highlights where on the south side of the fence that have been drilled previously. Now, these were either drilled by us or the predecessors to us, so Novo or Newcrest. If you look at South Navajo, you'll see, again, we focus on high-grade assets in the western U.S. This certainly fits the bill. 4.5 meters, 127 grams gold, 1.5 meters of 368 grams gold, 1.5 meters of 51 grams gold, 1.5 meters of 27 grams gold, on and on. That's on one vein set, the South Navajo vein. There's another vein off to the right called the East Pediment. We're going to drill up there as well. There's about a dozen veins that run through this project. We're going to have the opportunity to test the bulk of them on this campaign. There's going to be 23 drill sites. What has us excited is these drill holes that you see are all under gravel cover, whereas these samples that you now see all poke out at surface. And we're going to have a chance to drill test where a lot of these samples have been taken. Obviously, the highlight sample was the 21,000 grams per ton gold and 38,000 gram per ton silver. But there were 10 of these samples. There was 180 samples taken in total, and 10 of them ran over 100 grams per ton gold, all over a half dozen different veins. So not like it's coming out of one pod. It's certainly disseminated across all these other veins. The other part that excites us is we know that these veins run on the south side of the fence, run through to the north side of the fence. So where we had a mile of strike length at South Navajo, we can certainly extend that significantly onto the other side now. We'll go and drill test that. But as you start to put all these together, you can start to see how a big deposit comes together this year in 2022. Eric, happy for you to comment on that, maybe on Grand Prize or Modoc, some of the spots we're going to start and the ones that you're most excited about.
Well, just a little bit of a backup from a couple of years ago. A hole was drilled well away from any other hole. It encountered a vein, probably the schoolhouse vein. I'm just going to use a name that's common there. And it hit it at 1,250 feet, which was it hit 3 grams. So that particular intercept was not the greatest, but it was not that bad. What it showed, though, is the dip length here. What we haven't done is drilled a lot of deep holes, and really no one has. So how deep these veins go, if you use that as a barometer for how deep the other veins can go, you can put a lot of ounces in pretty quickly. Right now the program is focusing on 4 of the higher grade ones, but we are permitted to drill wherever we want. We can modify our program. So we're looking at some pretty deep veins with some very long strike lengths, and that's pretty exciting. If you put that together with like the South Navajo vein, we're doing preliminary work on it, in-house resource, loose resource calculations. And we're looking at better than 150,000 ounces just for that one piece of the vein. As Warwick said, it goes on to the property we just acquired. And we have numerous other targets that once we acquired the property last year and doubled the size, we really opened up a lot of doors to go in and drill and test this.
Yeah, certainly. And to that point, the in-house calculations that we're doing aren't 43-101, but we can start to see that, we've doubled the strike length here. and we're only working off of what we knew before from the south side of the fence. So these have the opportunity to get big. Eric, I'll let you speak to this slide as well in terms of the high silver zone and the high gold zone.
Yes, in a typical fashion, these epithermal systems, when they're associated with volcanic rocks, they have a silver zone, which is closer to the heat source, and a gold zone. So we had mainly the gold zone. If you look at the gold values at South Navajo vein, there's not a whole lot of silver in them. But if you move up into the Independence veins and the other veins you see on the silver rich zone, you get into some pretty fancy grades up in there, and with a little bit of a gold component too. So what we've now done is we turned it into a gold and silver mine, or silver project, I should say. And that's exciting to us because we really firmly believe in both of those metals, and they're both quite recoverable, and they're both high grade.
Here's the new claim package that we've just recently added that you can see off to the right with the yellow with blue checker. So another 900 claims that we've added in here. That makes the entire claim package 4,275 acres, so district style. Nice big claim package for us to go after. This was very great. This was great work done by Eric and his team. We felt that we needed to get those claims. So over Christmas time, we had guys go in and stake these all for us. So, you know, Eric, maybe you want to talk a bit how you think those veins are going towards those new claims.
Well, I'll talk to the Modoc off to the left part of the slide. You can see some of the great grades in that. That's where we're currently drilling. It's where we can get into. We've got a little snow this year, but we're pushing it off, and it's not going to be a problem. But we didn't have those claims, so we didn't really advertise the grades there. But now we own that property in entirety. So that's where we're going to start with the 150 grams, 121 grams, a lot of high grade stuff on this Modoc vein. And then we'll probably move up to the Grand Prize vein. And the reason we staked, if you look at the yellow block there, you see the grades down there. There's the monster 21,000 grams. You can see how it projects. It projects into our acquired land package, and it projects under gravel, just like the South Navajo vein, into that yellow block. So I'm very pleased we got that, because we're starting to make news out there, and a lot of people will come out and stake around you and kind of just become nuisances. But we got it now. We got the best piece of ground there for sure.
And it's worth mentioning as well. I don't think this has ever been fully consolidated by one company. It has been patchwork in the past. The gentleman that we bought the yellow claim block from did great work putting all of that together. And now with Eric's great work of picking up these other claims as well, we're the first company to ever own this in totality. That really gives us the opportunity to step back, put all of this data together, and really get a feeling for how big it can be. That's got us excited by a 3D modeling. Here's a long section. This was done in 2018, but just gives you an idea again of the consistency of the grades as it goes across. This is just one of the veins. Eric, I think the hole you were referencing is the one off to the east, the 1.5 meters of 10 grams per ton gold. I mean, that started to extend this out over a mile. I know it as well from when you drilled it that you spun the drill in the opposite direction on a bit of a gut feel and hit a great hole there. So that's been fantastic. But when you have a look at some of the grades here, I mean, 1.5 meters at 89 grams, 1.5 meters at 51. It's got good grades all the way through it. You know, there's 4.6 meters at 65 grams, 1.5 meters at 19, et cetera, et cetera. So these veins carry high grades. This is the one that's been drilled the most. Now we'll go out and start drilling some of these other ones and start to look to put ounces together. I'm going to take you guys through the 3D model and let Eric speak to it a little bit. This is going to give you an idea of how we compile our data. You'll see old drill holes in here, again, both from what we've drilled, from what Newcrest and Novo drilled, as well as the Dexter pit, which was owned by Chevron and Horizon. They produced 40,000 ounces of gold and 2.5 million ounces of silver. You'll see some density around that. But also you'll see all the sampling that's been done at surface, as well as you'll see these green looking balls, which Eric will talk to, and those are going to be our drill sites. So with that, let me take you into this. And Eric, feel free to tell me when to pause when you want to talk about this.
Okay. Let's pause right there just for a second, just so we can start to name these.
Sorry, Eric. Let me go back. My apologies. When I went to pause, it moved on me. Hang on one sec. Sorry, guys. I may not be able to pause while we're in a webinar, Eric, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I'll just talk over it then. It won't be a problem.
Okay, great.
So what you're going to see here is a structural map. They've done quite a lot of work there. It's very good work. The red lines you'll see are the currently known veins. So you'll see that they project into the hard rock moving up to the north, the top part of the slide. I don't want to go into all the different vein names, but it's pretty obvious when you start looking at that how many there really are. And those we'll test. And the one off to the right is the East Pediment. That'll get some drilling this year. Modoc is one off to the left with some drilling into it, but not a whole lot. So that's intriguing to us, and that's where we're going to go. With those kind of grades, that'll be the first place we'll start. As we move through this, you'll start to see what we've permitted. Those green dots there, you can see we're spacing the holes throughout the property. So I'm real pleased with that. We're still within our permit notice and everything. So Modoc is right there. That's what we'll be drilling now. In fact, we are drilling. It just got, the rig got there yesterday. And we got the roads cleared up and everything, so we're ready to roll. And then these other vein sets will be systematically tested throughout the year. Obviously, success oriented. If we go hit a nice hole over in the grand prize vein, that's where we'll stick and get some more drill holes into it. So we've got a lot ahead of us. Most of the year will be filled with drilling and other work as well, other geological work. There's the East Pediment right there. So you can see we've got a lot to test. Got some really good grades to follow up on.
So that's a quick combination of how we put these together. We have it's built in Leapfrog, so we spent a lot of time going through this and using that to target where we're going to do our drilling. As Eric mentioned, we are out there right now. This was taken yesterday. This is our dozer coming through and just getting sites ready to get ready to drill. So as you can see, we've got a bit of snow out there, but busy at work pushing in sites and getting ready to drill here. And then this is from today. Sorry, this is from yesterday. There's the drill you can see in the middle, the water truck showing up, etc. So we are ready to drill. And with that, I am happy to open it up to questions from you guys. So let me just have a look in here and see what you guys are asking. Asking when we'll be expecting drill results from Gooseberry. Yeah, fairly short order. We're finished up with the Gooseberry program now. We've drilled 15 holes. We've seen some that are really exciting to us visually. We haven't seen results yet, although we're expecting them in the next couple of weeks. As soon as we get those, we'll get them out to you guys. Yeah, so Eric, I'll pass this one on to you. This is a good question. Can you summarize the average grades and intercepts seen to date from the best 4 veins that have been drilled in the past?
Oh, well, there's not a whole lot of drilled data except for the South Navajo vein in our area. So we've the grades that we were talking about, the best grades were 328 grams in that drilling. We anticipate, based on the high grades that are at the surface, that we'll encounter similar grades in the Modoc and these others. That's a little steep because the 368 is a pretty good hit. But if you got surface expressions of 150 grams and then 2,000, 3,000 grams, we anticipate that we'll hit some of those exact grades. So we really look forward to it. I think we're going to tag into some pretty high grades. Plus, we have a good program. It's well thought out. It's geologically sound and it's doable. So we'll be bringing out assay results as soon as we start to get them throughout the year. We won't release them in one. We'll release them in batches. So it'll be, a hole comes in good or 2 or 3. It'll come to the market.
Gentleman's asking how deep the veins run, Eric.
That's a good question. And the one vein we drilled, the schoolhouse vein, several years ago, our partner actually drilled it at 1,264 feet. So the vein was about 1,100 feet. It was intercepted below the surface because it was an angle hole. So we're going to use that as kind of a way to start to put loose numbers together. That was probably pleasing to me. Well, it certainly was, because we haven't drilled that deep, and traditionally people haven't drilled deeper than about 600 feet. So we haven't tested the depths of some of these things. Now we know what the strike lengths are generally, but we don't know the depths. So that's the deepest intersection of a good vein. And we look forward to drilling deeper holes this year to tag into the other ones.
So one of the questions is, so many high grade samples at surface, how do they compare to the drilling down below? I mean, I think we touched on that a little bit. Yeah, there's been some fantastic samples at surface. Those are all relatively new to us because, again, we had owned the south side of the fence previously. We couldn't surface sample simply because it's under gravel cover. We've had great high grades underneath it, which I've shown, a few of those, the 1.5 meters at 300 grams gold, 4.5 meters, 100 grams gold, 1.5 meters of 50 grams gold, 1.5 meters of 27, lots of in the 15 to 20 gram per ton gold. Great hits at South Navajo, 1.5 meters of 50 grams per ton gold at East Pediment, etc. So those grades do match up quite well with what we're seeing at the surface. But what we're seeing at the surface was on the north side of the fence, which we've just recently purchased. So now we got to get and drill and show the extent of those as well. And that's something that we're excited to do. Look, it's doubled the land package. It's made this significantly bigger. This is the opportunity for this to become, a world-class size deposit in our eyes. And we're excited to go out and do that.
I'll point out too, I took a sample at the very north end of the South Navajo vein. And when it was on our property before we acquired it, I found the outcrop, and it hadn't been mined, obviously. It was in a drainage, very subdued, and I took a 59.5 gram sample from that vein. So it's starting to link up in 3 dimensions. We're finding it at the surface, and we also know that we've hit it at depth.
Great. Another question asking me to speak to the balance sheet and if we need to raise money in the near term. We've got a $14.7 million in cash, another $1.3 million of warrants that are well in the money. So that puts us at around $16 million in cash. There's another $7 million of warrants that are at $1.40. We do not need capital at all. I mean, this is going to be around a $5 million program, which is going to allow us to aggressively go after this in a smart but succinct way to put together, what we hope to be, a significant number at the end of the year. But $5 million is a good size program for what we want to do. We're in no need of capital right now. Let's see. Next question, how do you maintain focus with so many projects? And follow on, could you do a quick review on each stage? Yeah, sure, certainly. So there's 5 projects within the company. The Madison, which is being run by our partners over at Rio Tinto, they may spend up to $30 million US to earn 70% of the project. Great partners. They are the operators there, so they're running the show. We sit on an exploration council with them, so we get the opportunity to talk about the project back and forth, and Eric gets a chance to put his geologic ideas in front of them, but they're running the program, so they're able to do that. Gooseberry and Tuscarora, those are both seeing spends from us. We just finished up spending around $1.5 million at Gooseberry, and we're going to spend $5 million at Tuscarora. But that's mostly Eric and then another gentleman named Zach Hibden, who's been doing an excellent job for us. Zach has become our sort of field general, boots on the ground, with Eric working and overseeing. That's been a great partnership and a great way to drive those 2 projects forward. Give you an idea, Zach was one of the guys who does a lot of the 3D modeling for us as well. So he's done an excellent job, and him and Eric have been tag teaming on these projects. That's been great. The other 2 projects, Red Hill and South Lida, they're both going to see work done this year, probably around $100,000 each. To bring up the 43-101, the technical reports, to bring those up into good standing. And then we're going to look to joint venture those projects out. So look for press releases on those in the near future. We'll get in, either do some geophysics, do some sampling, etc., build out those technical reports, and then put those up to look to have those joint ventures out as well. So basically, it allows us to move on multiple fronts, but to move with partners and to move on our highest priority targets by spending our own capital. So I hope that answers that question somewhat succinctly. Let me just see what else we got here. Sorry guys, 1 second. See if I can move this. Oh yeah, so questions about delays at the labs. I think everybody's had issues with lab delays. Ours have been, the Rio results took a little bit longer, but Rio has their own process, and we're not in control of the cadence of the news flow with them. Gooseberry is going to be a lot quicker than Madison was because of that. The lab we're working with has been pretty good. There is another one that we're going to use for Tuscarora, which we think is going to be a lot quicker. But we're in control of the cadence of the news flow. I think we'll be able to push that to a little bit more than a big company like Rio, who goes through a bit of a different process. So Here's one. What are the company key, the company analysts in the, basically, what I think the question is essentially what news flow is going to help push us going forward. There's significant news flow coming. 70 drill holes are going to be coming out of Tuscarora, CSAMT, geophysics, geochemistry. There's a lot that's going to go on at Tuscarora for sure. That's going to drive growth there. Gooseberry, we've got 15 holes planned. We've got a significant soil sampling program, 1,500 data points coming out of that as well. That's going to drive growth there. We're going to have a conversation with Rio about what their plans are for 2022. When we get those, we'll put that out. That's going to drive growth there. The other two projects, we'll get some work done on those two. We'll put that out and announce that. And then we're going to look for partners on those. That'll be growth driven there as well. And we're fairly aggressively looking at M&A as well. In a sector that's had its challenges, American Pacific has done really well. We're in a strong position to look at some of those other companies that have had their challenges, but have very good assets that perhaps we can get involved in. So we're aggressively pursuing that mandate as well. So going to be driving forward on multiple fronts this year. Okay, that one. People are asking how to see the recorded presentation. So the recorded presentation will be up on the website. It takes about an hour for us to process this. And then once it's processed, we'll post it up on the website. It'll be under by where the corporate presentation is. With that,
sorry to interject here, Warwick. I'll post it to the website, and then it will also be available on our social channels. So that's Twitter and LinkedIn. If you have any trouble accessing it, you're welcome to email me at christina@americanpacific.ca, and I can send you the recording directly.
That's perfect, Christina. Thank you. I'll just answer this one last question, and then we'll move on. There's a couple more coming in now. Cost per hole, about $55 per foot on RC. Yeah, so somebody's asking, will you be compiling all the holes at Tuscarora at the end of the year to give context of how many ounces are in the system? That's the game plan. Look, we've got a lot of previous data. We're going to come out with a lot of data this year. We will compile all of that at the end of the year and look to come out with what we can never promise it. The game plan is to come together, put it all in, and then come out with a global number. That's what we'd like to do, and that's our game plan going forward. So there we go. I think I've gotten all the questions now. Let me just see if I missed any, but I think that's just about it. Yeah, I think that is it. Thank you all very much. Appreciate the time as always. Significant news out of Tuscarora, adding another 971 acres. Great work from Eric. Staking claims is the cheapest way to get ground in the Western US. And these were claims that we needed. Thrilled to have done that. Now we'll get out up to 70 drill holes here off of 23 sites, shooting into previously high-grade areas, previously undrilled areas with high grade at surface. Look forward to doing that and driving a significant amount of news flow from here, from Madison, from Gooseberry, and the other two projects, as well as planned looking at M&A for 2022, fully funded and ready to go. So thank you guys, much appreciated. As Christina mentioned, we'll post this up on the site, and appreciate your time and certainly look forward to putting out more news in short order.